Hi, everyone, and welcome to Studio Jake. I, of course, am your host, Jacob Airy. Thank you for joining me today on my vidcast. And today, man, do I have some crazy news. So, unless you've been living under a rock, you have probably heard that Disney has announced that The Mandalorian and Baby Yoda, aka Grogu, are returning, but not for a a fourth season of The Mandalorian. They are actually returning for a brand new feature film that will be directed by Jon Favreau. I think this is kind of interesting. And I'm not the first to point this out, obviously. Midnight's Edge did a really great breakdown of what this means, what it could look like. And I just wanted to put my 2 cents on this. Now, had this come out just a few years ago, I would have been drooling. I would have been so freaking excited, even though we don't have a trailer yet. They just released one still image of Din flying out with Grogu in his arms of an exploding vessel. To be fair, it is really cool. Now, what do I think is going on? So I think this is an act of desperation. Ahsoka season 2 has been announced, as well as the Rey Palpatine movie, The Acolyte. Supposedly, we're getting a lot of movement on it, even though we haven't seen anything. James Mangold is directing a Star Wars movie, allegedly. Dave Filoni is supposedly going to be directing a Star Wars movie. We've heard all of this. However, it seems that this movie is being fast tracked. Now, again, I'm saying this again. I am not the first person to point this out, but remember at the Disney Star Wars Celebration, they made a ton of announcements, like a ton of announcements. That's where we heard about Rey Palpatine spinoff movie. That's where we've heard about other events like James Mangold, like how far along the Acolyte is, even though I actually don't believe that show is as far as long as they say it is. Now they're announcing The Mandalorian hugely, like it's made a big deal. Now, what they did with Rey Palpatine was, like I said, they announced it at Star Wars Celebration. However, they then sent the director to do all of these interviews with the corporate press, and who obviously praised her, even though all she's ever done is documentaries, a few animated films, and then Miss Marvel. And they also kept saying, oh, she's made that quote about, oh, it's time for a woman to shape the galaxy far, far away, even though George Lucas's ex-wife won an Academy Award for the editing she did for the first trilogy, even though Gina Carano portrayed Cara Dune, even though Carrie Fisher played Princess Leia, one of the most important characters in Star Wars. Not to mention, for the past 10 years, Kathleen Kennedy's been ruling it like a tin pot dictator. Most of the people on the Disney Star Wars storyboard are women. Deborah Chow directed several episodes of Obi-Wan. I actually think she directed all of Obi-Wan. Bryce Dallas Howard directed several episodes of The Mandalorian. So, absolutely ridiculous statement. That being said, with this film, it seems like they're using it to gin up that lost excitement that those other projects that I talked about, the upcoming projects, aren't. Like I said, no one cares about the Acolyte. No one did care about the Acolyte. Everyone is completely sold on the fact that Leslie Headland, and this is a fact about her, was Harvey Weinstein's hatchet woman. I mean, his assistant. But she's good friends with Kathleen Kennedy. Interesting circles that Kathleen Kennedy runs in. Am I right? But no one cares about the Acolyte. There have been rumors about it that really they don't even have full episodes. They just have proof of concept stuff. Now, like I said, that could just be rumors. I don't believe that they just have proof of concept. I just believe it's not as far along as they're saying. And like I said, the Ahsoka series, I've not watched it yet, but one person that I spoke to who did see it, who, like me, has watched the Clone Wars and Rebels, they said that it was like watching characters that you're supposed to recognize, but they're not behaving like themselves. So Ezra's not acting like Ezra. Ahsoka's not really acting like Ahsoka, like she was in The Mandalorian. And Sabine certainly isn't acting like Sabine. So all of these familiar faces, but none of the personalities that went with them, they have completely new personalities. It's not that they had character growth in the years between Rebels and Ahsoka. It's that they were almost like 180 different people. Now, like I said, I haven't seen Ahsoka yet, so I can't make that judgment call. But even Star Wars Visions, which the first season had a whole bunch of hype surrounding it because it was all these anime studios, and they were releasing clips of the directors and the artists saying how they were honored to work on Star Wars. Well, then they blew that up by letting a bunch of rando studios join part. They should have let the rando studios do Tales of the Jedi, and then let Visions keep doing anime, because then everyone lost interest. No one cares about other, certainly no Eurotrash animation studios. People don't care in America. People don't care about those. We care about anime and our Western style. Now, I could be wrong about that. I'm not trying to speak for all fans of animation. I'm just saying that Visions was propped up as an anime outlet, but then they squandered that. And we see that constantly. They squandered Obi-Wan and they squandered The Mandalorian season 3. So will this movie, which it's tentatively titled The Mandalorian and Grogu, I think that's just a working title. I honestly think that they will change it later on. I hope they do anyway. I think it's a terrible title. Now, like I said, I don't think it's going to gin up the excitement that they think. Now, Jon Favreau, if he is in full control of it, and they just allow him to do his thing, to make this movie and make The Mandalorian season 4 without any interference from Kathleen Kennedy or Dave Filoni or Deborah Chow or anyone else, I think then that will win back some people. And now, please note, I don't think the Mandalorian and Grogu film is going to flop. I think it's going to kind of be like Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. What's going to happen is you're going to see a bunch of people go who remember season 1 and season 2, and they're going to check it out and probably bring their families because let's be real, Mandalorian and Grogu toys still sell. It's like the one product from new Star Wars, from Disney Star Wars, that still makes a boatload of money. And everything else doesn't. If you don't believe me, look how they have to pair up Rey Palpatine with the real leader of the new Jedi Order, Luke Skywalker. They have to put them together just to get people to buy her toy. No one, like I said, no one cares about them. And so I do think, that being said, I do think the Rey Palpatine movie is going to fail. I think that the Acolyte is going to be as bad as Willow. I think that once it's uploaded, it's going to get no interest and it's going to become a tax write-off and people are just going to forget about it. I think that Mandalorian season 4, again, as long as they let Jon Favreau do his own thing, I think that that one is going to be successful unless it becomes the Book of Bo-Katan, which I would shudder at the thought. Now, the Book of Boba Fett might be redeemed if they let it go darker, which is the actor who plays Boba Fett. That's what he wanted. He wanted it to be a darker, more visceral, violent show, similar to The Mandalorian season 1, but it ended up just being very vanilla. They didn't take a lot of risk with it. There was a lot of boring introspection, and they even had to take an episode from The Mandalorian to buffer it. So whatever the case may be, I honestly think that what is going to happen is we're going to see that the Mandalorian and Grogu film is going to do very well. I think I just said that. It's going to do, I don't think it's going to blow up the box office, but I think the people with kids who still like Baby Yoda, they're all going to go see it, so it's going to do decent. But unless Gina Carano appears as Cara Dune, I don't think they're going to win back the fans. I think if Bo-Katan or Ahsoka is in it, I don't think people are going to go to see it. If Luke Skywalker is in it, then that'll put butts in seats. Unless they make him Jake Skywalker from The Last Jedi, then that's not going to matter anyway. With all that said, tell me what you think. Do you disagree with me? Do you think that it's going to blow up the box office? Do you think it's going to be the best Disney Star Wars film since Rogue One? I could be wrong in all this. I am just speculating. Do not take my word as gospel. Do your own research. Like I said, I'm not saying anything that hasn't been said before, but just as far as my 2 cents, that's what I really believe. It is going to be a partial success, but it's not going to be enough to win back all those fans that they got with The Mandalorian season 1 and 2, with Rogue One. I mean, like I said, Andor was a good show, but because they lost the goodwill of the fans by firing Gina Carano, they didn't win them back. It doesn't matter. Tony Gilroy did a great job with Andor. I look forward to season 2, but I just don't think otherwise it's going to happen. Like I said, maybe it'll be word of mouth, like how Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 ended up, but I highly doubt it. We're just going to have to wait and see. Like I said, I'll go see it because I am genuinely curious about it, but it's just curiosity. It's not the excitement that I once felt when it comes to a Star Wars film. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you'll give it a thumbs up, that you'll leave me a comment, tell me what you think, that you'll share it out with your friends, and of course, consider subscribing to Studio Jake. I cover all kinds of nerd and pop culture topics, including film, television, anime, comic books, and so much more. I hope that you'll also head over to my main website, StudioJakeMedia.com, where I have even more news, views, and commentary. Also, if you'd like to support the channel, head over to my locals page. That's studiojakemedia.locals.com. It's the best way to support me. I'm trying to build a little community there. I have exclusive reviews and articles, so definitely head over there and check it out. And I'll see you next time right here on Studio Jake.